Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Welcome, everybody, to the live stream. Tonight, it's Friday night. It might be Saturday morning if you're on the other side of the world. I'm your host, Ashton Forbes. Huge welcome to everybody in the chat. You guys have been on fire recently. I was just looking at the metrics on YouTube. Holy crap. We basically doubled the amount of people that have been watching these live streams over the last few months. So huge thank you to all of you guys out there that have been supporting all of this work, all the science, all the other investigative work that we've been doing. It's been absolutely incredible. So the first thing right off the bat, the number one thing all you guys want to know about, of course, on the top of everybody's mind, getting rid of daylight savings time. Trump announced getting rid of daylight savings time. Guys, I'm giving it all up. I'm giving up all the physics, the electrical engineering. We're giving up the MH370 case. We are going to make sure under no circumstances ever on the face of this freaking planet are we ever giving up daylight savings time. Now, you might be saying, Ashton, what do you mean? We hate daylight savings time. People do not understand what I mean. What Trump is talking about, if we were to get rid of daylight savings time, would remove an hour in the summertime, in the afternoon, and in the evening. It would remove an hour of daylight in the evening. Screw that. We're not doing that shit. We actually have to flip it around. We want it to be daylight savings all the time so that we get an extra hour in the evening in the wintertime. Okay, I'm just joking. Obviously, that's not why you guys are all here. But honestly, I am extremely passionate about that political topic. And I have been for like 10 years. I've been very, very adamant that we should be getting rid of standard time. I don't give a shit about people's children, and I don't give a shit about people's farmers, right? Like the two arguments that are out there for moving to standard time is that I want my children to have there to be sunlight out at 7 in the morning when they're going to school. Drive your kids to school. I don't give a shit about that. It's 2024. And they were like, oh, the farmers need to be out on there and have light for the crops at 6 in the morning. Fuck that. Hell no. Hell no. Okay, anyway, serious time, guys. Okay. I told you guys that we were going to review how to make a doomsday weapon today. I'm not really prepared to go through all of that because I've had some personal stuff happen today. Actually, just in the last couple of hours, one of my close family members got admitted to the hospital. I was going to consider canceling the stream, but there's no point going over there. It's late enough already. I'm going to go there tomorrow. So we're still going to do this thing. But I didn't have time to prepare for the doomsday weapon scenario. We will take a quick look at the post, and I'll talk about it briefly. And then we're going to jump in, and today we're going to look at Electric Universe. Electric Universe. Now, before we do that, the other thing that's on everybody's mind is really the drone situation in New Jersey. For the people that want to know what happened to the sunglasses, they're right here. Those sunglasses are never going anywhere. In fact, I'll put them on again. They're just kind of awkward because they reflect the light. But obviously, they're super dope. Let's be honest. These sunglasses, they're super dope. Okay. The drone situation in New Jersey, guys. So honestly, yesterday I made a post about it, or was it today? I've lost track of time. And I'm actually now starting to wonder, like, is this actually Project Bluebeam? I'm starting to think this might literally be Project Bluebeam. And the reason why I say that is because what the hell is going on? The what is his name? John Kearney or whatever the hell his name is, the White House, the DOD guy, like basically just did a full 180 today, and now is saying that President Biden is not ready to shoot these drones down. Not ready? What have you been waiting for, bro? It's been a month. We've been waiting for a month, and we've got these drones flying around or whatever the hell's going on. And they've done nothing. And I want to say as well that, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought right there. What I was going to say is that a lot of these videos that we're seeing that people are sharing are 100% airplanes. Like, we are on full-on mass hysteria. Can you imagine what a real alien invasion would do to this country? People are losing their minds over the concept that there might be drones flying around there, and they're filming every airplane they see next to an airport, and they're pretending like it's a UFO or a flying saucer. But here's the thing. That doesn't mean that there's not something going on. It just means people are freaking out because something is happening, and then they're getting full-on hysterical about it, and they're thinking they're seeing the stuff everywhere. So that makes this situation extremely difficult. The situation now is extremely difficult to navigate because there's so much fake stuff being pushed on the internet at the moment that's muddying the waters of what's really going on. And there are some really incredible claims being made by the government, by local government, not the federal government, but local government, that people are saying there are drones coming out of the water. What? That's transmedium. If there's something coming out of the water, get a video of that shit. Why are there no videos of drones coming out of the water? You show me a video of a drone coming out of the water, and now we got something to talk about. We got something to talk about. You show me a bunch of videos of airplanes landing in Newark or whatever, and that's nothing. Or like, people don't realize at night when the airplanes are landing from far away, it just looks like a bunch of lights in the sky. Okay? So there's a lot of garbage that's out there being spread. And so that's why you don't see me sharing any of these videos, because at this point, like 90% of the stuff being shared, if not more, is just completely misidentified normal objects. Okay. So I actually think, go ahead and hit the like button, guys. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed and followed, go ahead and follow along. I'm starting to wonder if this literally isn't Project Bluebeam, and that the Biden administration and the intelligence community is just so incompetent that they can't even pull it off correctly. And the other thing is, not to toot our own horn, but it kind of feels like if this is Project Bluebeam, we threw a monkey wrench into this whole situation, where we made it really, really difficult to pull it off, because we're like, hey guys, the United States government has advanced technology. If you've been watching me, if you see a ball of energy in the sky, you're not going to think that's aliens anymore. You're going to think, oh, that might be United States military defense contractor, black budget technology. And so we've basically destroyed their narrative of the aliens coming down to whatever, invade us or take us over. It's just been crushed, completely crushed. The other side of it is, what if this really is, like, I was kind of joking yesterday, and people were like, hey, you're going too far into the Alex Jones territory. But I'm actually starting to wonder, like, who is in charge of whatever is happening out there? Like, who is responsible? I don't believe it's an adversary. If whatever is flying around was adversarial in nature, we would have shot that shit down weeks ago. This has been going on since November 15th. That's a month ago. That's 4 weeks. If this was adversarial technology, we would have shot it down a long time ago. These things could have bombs and warheads on them. We're not going to let that thing fly around unimpeded over like residential American zones. There's no chance. Hit it with an EMP. And then, John Kirby is his name. The White House guy. John Kirby's like, oh, we can't shoot it down because if we shoot it down, it might it might blow up or hit a house or something. Bro, you shouldn't have let it got so close. What do you mean don't shoot it down because it could hurt somebody? It might have a missile or a nuke on it. Are you kidding? You can't let it fly around up there. So then you think, okay, if it's not adversarial, then what is it? Well, obviously then it's us. It's American. And here's the kicker. Even if the FBI says we don't know what this is, well, the FBI doesn't know shit. I've spoken to the FBI multiple times. They don't know shit. They don't know anything. The FBI is got to be the most garbage organization that we have in the United States government. They don't have any access to any of the intelligence assets and methods and apparatus at all. Literally, all the FBI is doing is they're looking at videos on social media, and I can do that and tell you most of those videos aren't anything going on. The FBI is complete and utter trash. The people that should be telling us what's going on is the NRO, NGA, CIA, and NSA, and the President of the United States. Anybody else, I don't want to hear a goddamn word about what their opinion is. I don't care. I don't care what the FBI says. I don't care what local law enforcement says. None of these people have any inside knowledge about what's going on. I want to be hearing from the Director of National Intelligence on what is going on. I want to hear from Avril Haines. How is she not being dragged through the fucking mud over this? How is Avril Haines, the Director of National Intelligence, not having her name even come up? Avril Haines should be getting in front of all the mainstream media and telling us what the fuck is going on with these drones over our country. It's been a month. People aren't even asking the right questions. They're not even asking the right people. They're asking some random senator or congressman. These people don't know shit. The senator with his mothership UFO coming from Iran, that is almost certainly coming from Chris Mellon. Why do I say that? He's the only one who's in the intelligence community that I've heard even make that claim. Chris Mellon's a complete joke. Chris Mellon either has no idea what's going on or he's a deep state stooge lying. I don't know what it is, but it's one of those two. So I don't know if this is some kind of the intelligence community is freaking out because they're all about to be replaced. And now Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel and all these other people are going to find out the truth about our crazy advanced technology that we've been hiding from the government or hiding from the public. And those people are afraid. Why are they afraid? Because they're going to go to fucking prison. If you're Avril Haines, you're shitting your pants right now. Avril Haines is out there somewhere in a corner sucking her thumb because she's so afraid that when the Trump administration finds out the depths of the crimes that Avril Haines has allowed to happen under her watch, that she might go to prison for the rest of her life. If people find out that Avril Haines helped cover up MH370 under Obama and then got a position under Biden and has been hiding free energy from the world under some fucking national security rationale, she's going to get destroyed. Say goodbye to her career. She might be looking at criminal, civil penalties up the wazoo. Like, we're talking hard time in prison. Taking MH370 is a war crime. Hiding free energy is a crime against humanity. I will literally be advocating for the death penalty for these people. If Avril Haines knew what we did to MH370 and she knows what's going on in those orbs and she doesn't say anything about it, she should get the death penalty. Get her off this earth. We need people that aren't evil pieces of shit on this planet. So, could it be the intelligence community and the CIA who has their own, literally their own like fleet of aircraft and maybe drones and what have you? Yes, it could be them. It could be. And they could be doing this to scare the incoming administration because they're afraid that all their crimes are about to be laid bare and all this information and intelligence is going to get passed over to people that aren't going to cover it up. So honestly, that's where that's public gallows. Bring the public gallows back. That's the only way we clean this shit up. These people are above accountability. I want to make that clear. People don't understand. These people literally think that they are gods. They think they are better than you and I. They think they are a different class of people. They do not have any legal accountability for anything that they do. And they literally think that we are just cattle. That's how they operate. That's how they hide this stuff. That's the answer to all the suppression and everything. It's disgusting. It's hubris. It's ego. It's, it's crazy. So, okay, now I think we've spoken enough about that. One thing I will say is I think there's no chance it's aliens. No chance it's aliens. If it was aliens, they would have come down. They would have beamed themselves down, take me to your leader, or just, whatever. We'd have videos of the aliens. Okay, so I don't think it's aliens. I will say that there's a 0.00001% chance that it's like ultra terrestrials that are coming out of the water, the crab people. It might be the crab people coming from the subterranean, whatever, the water, and they're coming out, but that doesn't make any damn sense either. Who cares about New Jersey? Nobody gives a shit about New Jersey. Okay. So, yeah, this is like basically explains our government. Here's the thing. Our government is retarded, but they also do evil shit. People are like, no, our government can't pull that off. Well, that's not really how it works. Somebody gives an order and then they go do some evil shit, just like with the Nazis. People are just following orders. That's how evil shit happens. And that's what our government and CIA, that's what we do as well. United States is not some paragon of moral, a beacon of moral, enlightenment or some crap. Well, let me hit this donation. How do I even get to this? Do I double click on it? Okay. My channel. Thank you very much, brother. The Loch Ness Martian. Yeah. Jamal, thank you, man. You've been in the chat a lot. I appreciate you. Could this be a Trump-allied Tesla tech PMC that led a deep state coup? That's basically what I'm saying. Weirdly enough, it sounds crazy as shit. Let's be honest. It sounds crazy, but so does teleporting in an airplane. I'm actually wondering if, like, we've watched a lot of stuff, guys, and the CIA has their own Air Force. They probably have their own drones. In fact, the orbs might be coming from the CIA, for all we know. But it could also be they might have some connection to the PMCs. Like maybe the CIA is working with Lockheed Martin or like, Palantir, Peter Thiel's company or whatever. Not sure. But absolutely, I can see that being an explanation. End of the day, we need to get some answers, and we know the United States government has them. Yeah, thank you very much, Tac Tundra. Appreciate it. But I don't even really want to talk about the drone stuff anymore because it's so stupid at this point. It's just we've reached mass hysteria, and I'm thinking like we're not going to get a solution. Like the intelligence community right now is trying to come up with a narrative that people will believe. The downside is there's basically no narrative left that people are going to believe because they've just been lying too long. So now the only narrative people are going to believe is the truth. But I have a feeling that they don't even give a shit about that, and they're just not going to say anything. The fact that they're pretending like they don't know what it is insane to me. Absolutely insane that they're lying and pretending like they don't know what it is. That's obvious 100% nonsense. Whoa! I don't know. This seems like a lot. I don't know what these numbers mean, but thank you very much for the 200,000 something or others. It's in orange, so that's great donation. Nishit Argawal, thank you very much. Just wanted to say to this deep state CIA, since they are probably watching, F you guys. Everyone is in the know. Making a mockery of us, promoting books when we are unaware of our origin. You guys are the problem. Thank you. You know what? I'm gonna hide this just because it's in the middle of the screen. Let me just say too, fuck you, CIA. Fuck you, intelligence communities, for all the evil shit that you've been doing. Fuck you for hiding this technology from us. And what was the last part? Yeah, you guys are the problems. It's not the people that are the problem. It's the intelligence community thinking that they're better than us and that they know better than us. Those are the people that are the problem in this country. I love purple things. A video of a bright orb changes into a drone with lights. Could this move an EV around? Guys, let's just be honest, okay? I believe in a lot of crazy shit. I obviously believe in plasma orbs and anti-gravity and teleportation. I do not believe that orbs are turning into airplanes. That is not within the realm of physics. Now, you might say, hey, Sal Pais said that you can 3D print something. Yes, but this was going to require extremely advanced technology and material science. Here's the big kicker, guys. Sal Pais says think in terms of plasma. Why? Because there are no materials that can achieve the energy densities that are required. Plasma is the only thing that can do it. So what we're saying here is, yes, we figured out how to make fire, plasma orb. We figured that part out. But to be able to all of a sudden make a Star Trek replicator, that's what you'd be saying. That's what would be required in order to have a shape-shifting object that changes its mass or changes its appearance. It would literally require a Star Trek replicator. There's no way we're at that level of technology. Far too. It's one thing to pull energy out of the ether. It's another thing to pull any element you want and then 3D print it on demand instantaneously. So I do not believe that there's some kind of really, like, what's happening is it's confirmation bias. People are seeing airplanes in the sky and they want to believe that it's a UFO so badly that they're just inventing a narrative in their head to reconcile that belief. And the narrative they've invented is that it's a shape-shifting UFO. No, it's not. It's not that. So I'm just going to, and guys, I just keep it 100% honest. If you don't like my opinion, you don't like it, that's fine. You can have your own. You're here to watch me and I'm to get my opinion. So there you go. Okay. So I think that's it for the drone stuff. I don't know what's going to happen with it. Donald Trump has spoken up now about it. Donald Trump is needling President Biden, which is the right thing to do. It's a very smart political maneuver. Actually, we forced Elon Musk to make a statement about it. My post saying, why didn't Elon Musk talk about these drones, had over 1 million views. And then he made a meme about Iran flying drones, which is like a week out of date, or like at least 3 days out of date. But fine, whatever else. The truth is, Elon Musk has an NDA, so he can't speak on any of this stuff. Elon Musk has an NDA. He shoots our spy satellites into outer space. Therefore, Elon Musk knows that we know what it is. He knows that because he's shooting our spy satellites in outer space, and they're a big constellation mapping the whole planet. So it's most likely that Elon Musk's NDA is so extensive that he can't talk about anything like this at all. So instead, he just has to make a meme about it or something like that. Okay. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of tonight, guys, because I don't want to stream too late tonight since I've got so much crap going on. Okay, somebody just sent me this earlier today. Let me figure out which is the right thing. This one? There we go. Actually, I kind of want to edit this. Let me see if I can edit this. There we go. Let's do it like that. How's that look? Okay, that looks a little bit... Oh, I kind of like this. Okay, guys. Did that go to the wrong one? There we go. So somebody just sent me this scientific paper. Wow. So you may say, Ashton, why are you showing this? Well, first of all, what's the name of this scientific paper? Optimization of plasmoid or plasma-propelled drone performance parameters. What? Are you kidding me, chat? Optimization of plasma-propelled drone performance parameters. Wow. Wow. And it's a bunch of Chinese people. This is, I don't know if I've said this, I probably have. Salvatore Pais emailed me like a month or two ago. And he was like, look at the citations on my magnetically confined fusion reaction patent. When I looked at them, it was 3 groups of Chinese people that are all referencing his magnetically confined fusion patent. Why is this important? The magnetically confined fusion patent by Salvatore Pais is cold fusion. It's his version of EVOs. There's not just one way to do it. There's potentially multiple. What this is saying here, and what I'm piecing together for you guys, is China is taking this plasma drone thing very seriously. China probably saw the MH370 videos 10 years ago, and they've been trying to reverse engineer this since then. They've been trying to reverse engineer this. Look at that. So you can imagine maybe they've probably had some significant breakthroughs in the last 10 years over this. Guys, people need to be way, way, way more knowledgeable and concerned about this. China is going to catch up to us. And you taught them how. You know what? That's not a lie. We'll say that's not a lie, chat. I've literally been teaching all of our adversaries exactly how to produce plasma drones and orbs and all this other shit. And you know what? Do I feel bad about it? Nope. Not at all. Not at all. I was conflicted about it because I love my country. But do I feel bad about it? No, because the evilest people on the planet, the U.S. intelligence, they've had this and they've been lying about it. And they're such sick MFers that even though I exposed them and laid them bare, they still won't admit the truth. I mean, we have done, not even just me, you guys as well. We have done so much research into the missing plane. We know they took that plane. We know they covered it up. The fact that they won't admit it still, even after they're just caught dead to rights, means they have no morals whatsoever. No, zero morals. These people are just evil, evil pieces of shit. So you know what? If China figures it out and they zap some of those people's planes away, well, that would be probably the most appropriate punishment. If Avril Hines' plane gets zapped away by Chinese orbs, well, you know what? She probably deserves it. Because she was the one that was justifying drone strikes on innocent people under Obama, and she's almost certainly was privy to, she's at least privy to MH370 disappearing, if not directly involved in the disappearance. So, you know what? If our adversaries have those plasma orbs at this point, you know what? The U.S. government, U.S. intelligence agencies only have themselves to blame. They have nobody else to blame, only themselves. If they hadn't done that operation, then this information would still be hidden today. If the U.S. intelligence had not done MH370, all of this information would 100% still be hidden today. They would have been able to hide this technology for another 50 years easily. Easily. If I hadn't seen those videos, I'd have no clue about plasma. I just thought plasma was just some interesting thing. I had no idea the implications of it. Crazy, right? Okay, next thing was, oh yeah, okay, so let's talk about Doomsday Weapon, guys. Doomsday Weapon. Here's the craziest part. Yeah, okay, so I'll address this. Have you watched the Jesse's interview with Eric Davis? Yes, I watched that interview. It was 90% slop and garbage and nothing I really gave a shit about until the very end. And at the very end, Eric Davis said this.
We already know, and a lot of other physicists know, that Einstein proved that gravity is not a fundamental force of nature. It emerges from the fabric of space-time when it's distorted or curved or bent. And Sakharov, he believed that the metric elasticity of space, described by the space-time metric, which is just a very simple equation, actually. And he said that should come from the quantum vacuum fluctuations, because he sees the quantum vacuum fluctuations as being the seed of all existence. And he was right.
Boom! Yahtzee, chat. We were waiting for that moment for so fucking long, chat. I don't have the clip right now, but that is exactly what I said on Candace Owens several months ago. 3 months ago in September, I went on Candace Owens, and you guys can go watch it right now. And we got to the part about science, and I told her Sakharov in 1967 realized that gravity was not a fundamental force. It was an induced effect based on 0-point energy. That is exactly what Eric Davis is saying right there in that clip. And he goes, you know what? Sakharov was right. Sakharov was right. And then he's not even done yet. Then what comes?
Basically, that started from Richard Feynman when he got the Nobel Prize for the quantum electrodynamics theory.
Right. Richard Feynman, guys, 1965. What did Richard Feynman say? Richard Feynman said that there's enough energy in an empty space to vaporize all the Earth's oceans. So what is Eric Davis saying here? Eric Davis is saying that gravity is not an induced effect. It's not a fundamental force. It's based on 0-point energy, and there's enough 0-point energy in the quantum fluctuations, that's what we call it now, not the ether, the quantum fluctuations, to vaporize all the Earth's oceans. There's unlimited energy available. Boom. And the best part is he's saying it in coded language where, unless you are one of my followers and you've been watching this, that's just going to go right over your head. You have no idea what he's talking about. If a normie is watching that, then they just have no idea who Sakharov is or any of this shit. But if you watch my Candace Owens interview and you listen and you were like, wasn't Ashton saying this exact same thing? And then right after Ashton goes, Sakharov says that gravity is an induced effect based on 0-point energy. The next thing I say in that interview is, and Hal Puthoff proved it in 1989 with his paper, Gravity as a 0-point fluctuation force. How did I know the thing about Sakharov? Because I read the Hal Puthoff paper, Gravity as a 0-point fluctuation force. And it literally says that's where the idea came from. Booyah. Okay, and then let's watch the last part of it.
Gravity is not a force of nature. It emerges from space-time phenomenon.
Oh, one more thing. And who was the person that won the Nobel Prize, guys, with Richard Feynman in 1965? 1965, Richard Feynman wins the Nobel Prize for QED, quantum electrodynamics. Richard Feynman is basically the father of quantum electromagnetism. Like the idea of how can we understand the energy at the quantum level. And who did he win it with? Julian Schwinger. Yes, that Schwinger. The Schwinger limit. The same exact Schwinger limit that Salvatore Pais based his Pais effect on. The same Schwinger limit that we are seeing in this video where we are watching an airplane disappear out of the sky. You are seeing the Schwinger limit in action right here. This is how Sal knew it was going to happen. That is the Schwinger limit being reached, which is the ceiling of electromagnetic energy in a region of space where you break right through the limit. Boom. Absolutely amazing. And I was just talking to Sal. We've been going back and forth the last few days, and I just straight up asked him, can we make a black hole? Like, what do you think? Can we make a black hole? And he said, theoretically, yes, and your videos prove it. He said, the theory says we can do it, and your MH370s prove that we can make a black hole, or whatever that is, a wormhole. It might turn out that a temporary black hole is a wormhole, and that a permanent black hole is what we see at the center of the galaxy. At this point, we just don't have enough information. The second thing that I asked him, yeah, and the fact that Jack Sarfati was freaking out about it kind of goes to show that Jack Sarfati is most likely a disinformation agent. At this point, I'm ready to just go ahead and accuse him. You know what? Let's just do it. Jack Sarfati is a disinformation agent. The shit he's pushing about seeing alien videos is garbage. He's completely full of shit, and he's being led like a dog with a collar by Ron Pandolfi, who's one of the grossest CIA spooks ever to be in the business. So it shouldn't surprise you that an evil person like Jack Sarfati, or that like Ron Pandolfi, is dog walking Jack Sarfati. And I would almost guarantee, you know what? I'm going to actually throw something out there right now, because this is how good my intuition is. I know that Jack Sarfati tried to sabotage my interview with him. And I know he thought he was so fucking smart. I knew what bullshit he was pulling. He was trying to sabotage my interview with him because he was trying to pull a Putin. He literally watched what Putin did to Tucker Carlson. And I think Ron Pandolfi instructed him to do that. I literally think that Ron Pandolfi instructed Jack Sarfati. Jack Sarfati wasn't going to come on my podcast. And then all of a sudden he did. And he started being racist and talking about all this stupid shit about his dumb parties. No one gives a fuck about Jack Sarfati, how he grew up, or what phone calls from the future he got. All I wanted to know was physics. Okay, so let's finish this last part of this.
Space-time manifold, or the continuum, or however you want to describe it. And its a coupling constant measures the strength of the interaction force between parts.
I want to point something else out here as well. All these other people next to Eric Davis, they're all idiots and douchebags. None of these people have any fucking clue about physics or science. Like zero. My man with his, like this guy in the middle here, He's wearing a suit with a shirt, and his shirt's buttoned all the way up, but he doesn't have a tie on. It looks so weird. And your hair is like partially dyed. Like, this isn't the 90s anymore, bro. You're not Eminem. This fat guy on the right, I think the fat guy on the right is the Missile Man guy who is talking shit about me as well, who's just a complete fucking moron. He doesn't know shit about any of this stuff. I don't know if it's him or this other idiot on the left, but all these guys are basically just losers. And I don't know what's going on. What kind of interview is this? They look like they're in the break room or something like that. Like, why is Eric Davis eating his salad throughout this whole interview? It's not like it's 5 hours long. It's a 1 hour interview. I've literally never, you guys know how many interviews I've done? How many times have you seen me eating on an interview? Never, because I have common respect for the people who are interviewing me to like eat after. And it's not like he couldn't wait. Like, what did they do? They just catch Eric Davis like in the hallway or something, and they were like, "Yo, bro, we gotta interview you right now." And he's like, "Oh, I'm eating my salad." Like, it just seems really unprofessional. Like, and I have a feeling, I don't know why this was posted on Jesse Michaels' channel. I think they posted on Jesse Michaels' channel because none of them have like actual significant channels in any way or shape or form. But that Jesse Michaels is attached to this is kind of cringe, honestly, if you ask me. So I was going to like kind of push at him, but I like Jesse, so I didn't really want to burn that bridge or whatever. But geez, it's just super awkward. If this is going to be, if that what we just saw there is going to be what they're apparently, I think these guys interviewed Sal Pais as well. I'm just going to let you guys know right now that if they interviewed Sal Pais and that interview drops, I am going to dissect that thing. If they ask him stupid ass questions, I'm going to rip them to shreds, 100%. And then I will show my interview and show what real questions are. I actually asked real pertinent questions to Salvatore Pais. Those guys, my guess is they just ask completely stupid shit. So we'll find out. Okay. Let me hit up some of these donations, guys. Did I miss any here? Yeah. Are you planning to document your findings? Thank you, Louisa. Are you planning to document your findings in a form of a book or a movie feature? I have no plans to do that at the moment. I am talking about making some video content about MH370. I think that'd be really good. It needs to be higher production quality, though. I don't want to do just like live stream level quality. It needs to be bigger than that. But we have so much content. I was going through it. What I'll say is this, guys. I am planning on making video content that's not live stream content based on scientists, engineers, Black Project engineers, scientific theories and papers, technologies that are out there, and then stories that are connected to the concepts as well, like Philadelphia Project, MH370, etc. I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm trying to just, take it easy and not get too stressed out about it, but look for some of that next year. T in AZ, thank you very much for the $10 donation. I love listening to your channel. I appreciate that. I love having you guys out here. Honestly, you guys get me hyped up because you see everybody in the chat and everybody is so passionate about this stuff that it gets me excited about it. That's how I get my energy up. Okay, let's finish this interview. There's only like another 30 seconds.
Particles. The coupling constant in general relativity is the universal gravitational constant times 8 pi divided by the speed of light to the 4th power. You know what the units of that are? 1 over force, 1 over newtons.
That's right.
That equation you just said there, Sal brings it up several times.
And that's a coupling constant to convert the dimensional units of the stress energy tensor, which is the source of space-time curvature. That's in units of joules per cubic meter or energy density or pressure.
Yes. Okay, if you guys didn't understand how that clip is so significant, it's so much more significant than most people realize. What was Eric Davis saying right there at the end? He was saying that if you look at the stress at the coupling constant or stress energy tensor or whatever it is, it's based on energy density. That was right after he said that Sakharov was right about 0-point energy. What does that mean? If I have more energy over here, aka it's hotter over here, and it's colder over here, what's going to happen, guys? Thermodynamics. The hot side will flow to the cold side. This is the same thing is true in outer space. The more energy density you have in a region, that if there's more in one region than there's another, there's going to be a pressure. And what he's saying there is that the energy density is equivalent to a pressure force. Gravity is a pressure force. Okay, so now we've shown that gravity is based on 0-point energy, and gravity is a pressure force. Not a fundamental force, a pressure force. Why is that huge? What else is a pressure force? The Casimir effect. The Casimir effect is a pressure force. And this should make sense because the Casimir effect, if you line up two plates next to each other, much closer than this, but this is just an example, you are squeezing out certain wavelengths of 0-point energy. So if I have my plates like this, however skinny they are, certain wavelengths of 0-point energy can't fit between them. And what does this cause to have happen? The plates come together. It's a negative pressure. Basically, what he's saying is that the Casimir effect can be considered to be a type of anti-gravity. A type of anti-gravity. Because at the end of the day, you can't think of gravity as this thing that I'm producing gravity. You think of it in terms of changing the pressure. Just like with a balloon. How's the balloon floating? It's all about buoyancy. Same concepts. Guys, how is it that mainstream academia has not figured this out? It's so obvious once you lay it out like that. And what do? They just ignore it, just dismiss it. They have no counter arguments. Crazy, right? Okay. I made the orb videos around the plane. I used Photoshop. Yeah, man, Photoshop. Yeah, Photoshop can definitely do it. What did you Photoshop exactly? There's no reference for the videos. This is what a lot of people don't realize. Is like the debunkers get so mad because they know there's nothing like those videos on the internet. So there's nothing to copy. There's nothing to Photoshop. They would be completely original works if they were fake. And there's basically zero content that is completely original works that's fake. Almost all fake content, what they usually do is they use a real video. And then like that guy was trying to say, they add in a video of they add in a graphic of a flying saucer. And it always looks super fake. Those videos, when they add in a flying saucer, CGI flying saucer, it looks super fake every time. How many people, the best part too is like, how many weirdos have tried to claim the videos are real or that they made the videos? It's like 3 or 4 people have all tried this claim. And I think what they were trying to do is they were trying to say, like, they're trying to catch me in a lie or something where like they think I would sweat. Guys, I already know the videos are 100% real. I keep saying this all the time. I know the videos are real. So if you come out and you try to like scam me or say that like you made the videos, I know you're lying because you didn't make the videos. Nobody made the videos. I know you don't have any proof. I know you don't have any evidence because I know you didn't make the videos because I know nobody did. Those are real videos. Whether or not you accept it, whether or not you believe it, it doesn't really matter to me because you can't hide physics forever. So the physics is going to come out. It's just a matter of time, just a matter of looking at the watch. Might be tomorrow, might be a year from now, might be 10 years from now, might be 25 years from now, but eventually it's going to come out. It's going to be proven that what I just explained about 0-point energy is how gravity works. And when that's true, the MH370 videos will be proven real by default. There won't be any excuses, no bullshit about Ashton. Yeah, he turned out he was magically right about 0-point energy, but not because of those videos that he based everything on. That's what they're going to say. Get ready for it. Make sure you guys clip this because they're going to come back however long it takes, 5 years from now, and it's going to turn out I was right about all the physics, and they're going to try to say that, well, he might have been right about the physics, but he just got lucky. He just guessed. I was like, no, I literally based the physics based on the real videos that I knew were real. That's how I figured it out. No other way. No guessing. I knew the videos were real, and all I did was reverse engineer and figure out the physics. And nobody believed the physics was real. I knew the physics was real because I knew the videos were real. So there we go. I have to say it several times. I've actually said that on live stream like 5 different times, but I want to keep saying it so there's no chance anyone can play that card in the future. Okay, next thing is the amplification of energy. I want to go over this pretty quickly, but man, last night I'm just sitting there thinking about it. Everybody's freaking out about these drone situation or whatever. And I'm just like, guys, you shouldn't even be freaking out about this. Do you understand? I'll give you something to freak out about. You want something to freak out about? Freak out about this. Freak out about this. How do I? There we go. This one. Let me read this. Everybody's freaking out about the drones. And I'm just sitting here thinking about how Salvatore Pais is on the record saying he knew some orbs were about to create a wormhole before it even happened. He also confirmed to me privately, we can produce a black hole. Bonus, high magnetic induction is the way to produce fusion ignition. You guys get this? Like, the people that are trying to do fusion right now, they're trying to do it by heating it up. They're like, oh, heat up the plasma and then fusion will happen magically. And it's been failing for like 50 years. Have they ever thought like, maybe we shouldn't just like try to heat it up? This patent basically says, not even basically, it explicitly says that instead of doing that, use magnetism. Basically what he describes, make a cylindrical cone, pump gas into it, and then have magnets counter-rotating that push the gas together. And what does that do? Causes fusion to happen. It's not even rocket science. It's just pretty basic stuff, guys. Pretty basic stuff. 2 magnetic fields squeezing something together is going to cause things to fuse together. It's not that complicated. It kind of blows my mind that we're still doing stupid shit with donuts. It's not even that toroid is wrong. Toroidal shape is correct. It's that we're making these tokamaks that look like a donut, and that's never going to be able to confine the plasma. It's never going to work. So I want to read this part. Basically, this equation right here says that the B field amplification factor, which mathematically can go to infinity. He's saying you can amplify the magnetic induction, the magnetic field to infinity. Guys, infinity is a big number. I'm not sure if you know about that, but infinity is a really big number. So when people are like, hey, why do you think you can produce a black hole? Because I'm literally looking at this thing where Salvatore Pais is saying that we can increase the magnetic field amplification to infinity. People are like, well, it would take this huge amount of energy. And I'm like, yeah, infinity is higher than that. And then right after that, what does he say? Physically, this expresses the great amplification of magnetic induction in induction B fields of the vortex plasma structures. Now, why is this so big? Vortex plasma structures? This is what the thunderstorm generator is saying. This is what Bob Greenier has been saying from low energy nuclear reactions. He's been saying, use a vortex of plasma. In fact, this is what Jack Nachamkin in the 1992 paper is saying. You can make a vortex of electrons that will stabilize your ball of plasma. Guys, I keep thinking about this post from the other day where someone's like, this guy, Ashton Forbes, has been sitting there streaming every night, drinking martinis, reading scientific papers outside of his 9 to 5. And he's basically blown the lid off of cold fusion and plasma orbs and drones and anti-gravity. It's actually insane to me that that's true, but it is. It literally is true. You would think, like, if we lived in an insane world, like PhD physicists and stuff like that would be the ones doing what I'm doing right now. But all the academics are so afraid of what their peers think of them that they're too afraid to go out on that limb and even say that. Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't give a shit what people think about me. I don't give a shit at all about academics or any of that stuff. None of that means anything to me. So I'm just going to come out here and just say it as it is. I'm just going to say it as it is. Okay. Electric Universe time, guys. Now, I watched all of these Electric Universe videos. I don't know how many we're going to have time to get through here today. They're pretty short. They're pretty good. And I hope YouTube doesn't do that thing where they shut the stream down in the middle of the stream. We're going to see. I think that most of this Electric Universe stuff is right. The only thing that I think I disagree with that I saw was the explanation for gravity. Their explanation for gravity where everything's aligned doesn't quite work for me. I think it's close, but I think I like Eric Davis's explanation and Sakharov and Hal Puthoff's more. And this is the part where if you have one thing that's wrong, then people are going to hyper focus on that wrong thing and they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. When the Electric Universe could be correct, but they might still have some aspects of it wrong. So let's watch this and let's see what we all think of this. Oh yeah, the Larry Reed book. This Larry Reed guy as well is there's several people that have this all figured out. And now even if they have one thing off here or there, they understand that 0-point energy is the basis of our universe. It's the fabric of our universe. And they understand that it's not some small amount of energy. It's a huge amount of energy. Okay, let's get going. Here we go. And real quick to this point, I don't have all the answers either, guys. I've never claimed to have all the answers. What I do is I try to present the evidence. I give my opinions on that evidence. Some of those opinions are strong opinions, some not as strong. And then I want everybody else out there to come to their own conclusions. I'm not one of those guys that's just going to come out. This is the difference between me and Alex Jones, right? Alex Jones just says everything matter-of-factly. This is how it is, blah, 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 etc. He's not going through the evidence, really. He's just making logical inferences, which is fine. You're allowed to do that. Everyone's allowed to do that. It's a free country. My approach, though, is on, show you the stuff, show you the information, you watch it for yourself, and then you come to your own conclusion. Okay, let's start with this. I think this one. So this is 3 experiments that you can do that show that the universe is electric. Let's go with this one.
He is presented at several EU conferences of inheriting a vast amount of CJ's original lab equipment into it. May be that you transformers. All I had to do was ask.
So this is the guy, Benjamin Hyde. I actually want to talk to this guy. If you guys can find this guy, let me know, okay? So he's coming. Here are these experiments. I'm going to kind of skip through to just the spicy part. But he makes this experiment with this wood. Now watch this.
No need to drive him flush. Grab a pinch of salt and add it to a small glass of water. With this water, wet the surface of the wood between the 2 screws or nails. You can use your hand, you can use a cloth, you can use a paintbrush, doesn't matter. You can even pour it on there. Now attach a small length of insulated wire to each lead of the transformer and attach the other end of each wire to each nail or screw. Do not make contact with the wood, the screws, or the wires, and then turn on or plug in the transformer. Why? Because you don't want a good shock. The AC current from the transformer will begin to arc and burn its way across the surface of the wood. Now here's where it gets cool. Note how the path burning its way toward each other varies and branches. This is a Lichtenberg pattern.
Okay, look at that, guys. So what did he just do there? He put water on the wood because the wood is an insulator, but the water will conduct electricity. And what he's looking here is he wants to see the path of the electricity. We want to see the path of the electricity. Look at the path. That's a fractal path. What's happening? It's breaking apart. So it's pathing out. It's trying to go from this point to this point. What does that remind you of anything? It reminds me of a river where it's trying to follow the path, but it's not following it exactly. It's kind of branching out and it's fractally moving outward. So let me pull that back up so you guys can see. You can see it pretty clearly there.
Let's go back a little bit. George Christoph Lichtenberg was a German physicist.
Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead of
Electricity
this.
will follow
But look
multiple
at that.
paths.
This is
of
what we're
lower
looking at, right? This is the path that we were just seeing. Doesn't that look familiar? That looks like a lot of stuff that we
and
see in
not
nature.
just one like water does. Now, this same pattern we just created in the wood can be seen everywhere across nature. Here's just a few of them. Please remember that when it comes to Lichtenberg-shaped river valleys, water does indeed flow and carve the valleys, but it is our contention that the genesis of them were electrical discharges, the thunderbolts of the gods, and that the water came late to this party. Question: how many of you picked up on the fact that the Bighorn, Wind River, and Uinta ranges you just saw are not river valleys, but mountain ranges? Do Lichtenberg patterns do more than just a road? They may indeed.
Okay, so he shows a bunch of other patterns. Now, some of this, guys, when the people do a lot of this pattern stuff, I try to avoid some of it, but he makes really strong arguments. It looks just like mountains and rivers. And the point here being, he's showing that our planet is electric. Our solar system is electric. And that the reason why we see these shapes is not just simple plate tectonics. It's that we are living in an entirely electric universe. So what we see on small scales applies to large scales. Scale invariance. Effects that we see on the small level also apply on the very large level. Yeah, that to me is mind-blowing, that watching that. So I went, wow, we got to watch that. Okay, now let's go to the second experiment. This one's also really cool. This one has to do with baking soda.
Of baking soda. Yep, that same stuff you use to bake all kinds of delicious pastries. It also burns a beautiful orange color if you throw it on a candle flame, but that's for another show. The baking soda should be in a bowl, or to be more scientific, a non-conductive plastic flat-bottomed container. Now attach the other lead of the transformer to a small metal plate, or just some tinfoil, which is underneath the aforementioned container. Stand back and power on the transformer. If an arc is struck, power off the transformer and raise the top lead a centimeter or so. And repeat this process until no arc is struck when the transformer is powered on. So, what's going on here? Electricity, AC in this case, jumps off the sharp ends of powered objects, the ends of your wire, which incidentally is why lightning rods are pointy, and St. Elmo's fire was seen on ship masts. These are all pointy objects. This is called a corona discharge, which is fascinating in itself, as it doesn't produce much heat. Now this is also known as cold plasma, which shouldn't be confused with something called dark mode plasma. In fact,
excuse me, sir, I think you just hit the double jeopardy word of the day, or whatever. Cold plasma. He just dropped it, guys. This is called cold plasma. He just did an experiment on cold plasma. And before you go, hey, is he really talking about the same cold plasma that Salvatore Pais is talking about? Yes, he is.
In fact, a cold plasma refers to a plasma where the electrons are significantly hotter than the ions, meaning that the overall temperature of the plasma is relatively low, even though the electrons have high energy.
Right there, read that description, non-thermal equilibrium plasma. That was exactly what Sal was talking about. Wow, I got to this part and I was like, oh crap. Sir, we got the word of the day. It's the word of the day. Guys, what did he just say? The electrons have a high temperature while the gas is relatively low temperature. The ions have a low temperature. Guys, I think you know where I'm going with this. Why are we seeing that heat signature right there in that orb? Look at that heat signature, chat. Why is it bright in the vortex region and why is it blue in the other region? Everybody with me at the same time? We're looking at the hot electrons that are hotter than the rest of the plasma. The rest of the plasma, the ionized plasma, is blue. There we go. There it is. Quantum gravity. I knew you wouldn't let me down, bro. I knew you would not let me down. Yahtzee. Do you guys really think some bored hoaxer made this video? Look at what we just learned, what we just looked at. Who the hell do you guys think could have made this video? We're literally looking at the electrons in a vortex motion, the Ukanavasara Tesla symbol here, on a cold plasma. Shit, man, the number of people that even understand what cold plasma is infinitesimally small. So in order to fake this video, you 100% need to be an expert on quantum mechanics and not just plasma, but like cold plasmas. Look at that.
Well,
So do you guys understand why we're watching this video now? Because I saw that and I went, holy shit. And here, the Lore Lodge says it's fake. The Lore Lodge are children who've never had a real job in their life, and they just grift people pretending to find missing people. They're some of the most disgusting people on the planet. The people that I hate the most on this earth, guys, are the people that are fake. And the Lore Lodge are the fakest people that I've ever seen. And I have a good aptitude for this. The fact that the Lore Lodge doesn't understand that they couldn't, that what I just explained to you right there, there is no faking this. There's no faking this. Unless Eric Davis himself faked this video, there's no faking this. I wouldn't even entertain any concepts of this video being fake unless you're going to try to tell me that the United States government was making this video and they had Eric Davis advise them on what the orb should look like. That's the only way it would make any sense. And even that makes no sense because the plane's still missing. Like if we found the plane, I'd be like, oh, okay, they faked this video to make it seem like that aliens took it or whatever. But no, we never found the plane. And the reason why we never found the plane is because this is what happened to it. This right here. Look at that cold plasma. There it is. You're seeing it. This video proves that the universe is electric. It proves it.
Plasma describes a plasma state where the current is not strong enough to cause a light emission, making it essentially invisible to the naked eye, regardless of its actual temperature. Now, essentially, a low luminous...
Guys, the question about where did it go, you got to watch my interview. I'm not answering this question every single day. I'm not answering where did it go, where did the people go. Guys, you got to realize I get this question 100 times a day. So just watch my interviews, man. It's asked in every single interview. Pick one whenever you want to watch, it's asked.
Luminosity plasma state within a larger plasma system. That's pretty cool. Back to our experiment.
Excuse me. The cold plasma thing or the dark plasma is also interesting because the Sapphire Project, the Sapphire Project basically also has a version of their ball of plasma that's a cold or a dark plasma, as they called it, which I think is what he was just describing.
If the powered lead has multiple sharp points or corners, like if you use a flathead screwdriver attached to your lead, the electricity will jump from all sharp points, and this creates two mobile electric fields.
So what he's saying here is that you can kind of see the shape there. There's this like almost looks like boobs or something. Weird shape that you see there. He's saying that even though you've moved your screwdriver here too far away, it's not going to form an arc plasma. It's still interacting. We're still seeing it. So what he's saying here is that even though we don't see it with our eyes, there is still manipulation of the topography of the baking soda. So why is this important? Because you could imagine that if the sun is interacting with our planet in a giant electromagnetic field of electricity, then this might be shaping the geography of our planet. The same way where when we look at this video here, we're seeing these baking soda get shaped, even though technically that screwdriver is too far away to allow electricity to flow. It's a very interesting concept. And who taught me this? I taught myself all of this. Taught myself everything, chat. If you don't believe me, watch all the live streams going back a year. Pretty wild, right? Okay.
It's in the presence of baking soda.
So I'm going to skip ahead because then he shows... Actually, let's watch this alternating current part real quick.
Even if the tip is sharpened to a fine point. Not surprising, as our transformer is AC and thus producing an oscillating current flow. Now, oscillating current flow, or AC current flow, essentially means the same thing. An electrical current that periodically changes direction, that moves back and forth in a repeating cycle. Whereas AC stands for alternating current, which specifically describes this type of current flow where the direction of the current reverses at regular intervals. Essentially, oscillating current flow is a more descriptive phrase for the concept of AC current. Still, it's fun to see. And you may need to dim the lights to...
So this is what it's saying, is you can't see it, but it's happening. You can see the effect because you can see the baking soda spreading out right there.
Fully appreciate it. What about that idea, that flirty idea that I mentioned just a few minutes ago? Is it possible for electricity to aggregate as well as erode? Well, those familiar with Wal Thornhill's and Don Scott's work will already know the answer. But the short answer is yes. This is what electrical discharges do. In this case, our experiment causes what we call asymmetrical etching, meaning that one lobe will be bigger than the other.
So we see this etching, and then he goes and shows examples of the etching, which you can see in the middle of the screen here. It's kind of hard to see in that one, but he goes through and shows a bunch of different examples. Now, this is where I think it's kind of, you're pushing it a little bit at this point, right? And there you go. Here's a good example of the asymmetric etching on one side versus the other. So he shows all these asymmetrical etching situations, which is pretty sweet. How did I end up in business and not in science? Because I didn't want to work very hard. That's the only reason. I loved science and physics. Actually, physics was my favorite class. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to work hard, guys. I mean, if I had known that we can make floaty balls of plasma and anti-gravity and free energy were real, of course I would have gone into electrical engineering and physics. I didn't know any of this stuff was real. Okay. So the last experiment, so he shows a few examples. Some of these are better than others. Oh, this last one's this bubble one, which is pretty cool.
Who's Fred? Fred Lawrence Whipple was an American astronomer. Among his achievements were asteroid and comet discoveries and the dirty snowball hypothesis of comets. As a quick aside, with this setup still in place, just remove the bottom metal plate or unhook the electrode from the bottom plate and replace the bowl of baking soda with a bowl of bubble solution. Blow a bubble using a straw in the bowl until the bubble is just below the dangling electrode. Now turn on the transformer and move your head until you can see the refracted light hitting the surface of the bubble.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
What you see will look like this.
You see that shimmer?
Counter rotation, anybody? You want to see more? Visit what years ago Don Scott called one of his favorite new websites.
Basically, if you missed that, when he made the bubble and you look at it from the right angle, you are seeing you're seeing like weather on Earth, right? Remember, what does Saturn look like? Remember with Saturn, you have the hexagon on Saturn. He's saying that all you have to do is blow a bubble and put an electrode next to it and look at an angle. Let me go full screen here and look at an angle, and you can see counter rotation happening, just like we see with the weather all the time on planet Earth. Crazy, right? Just like we see when we look out at other gas giants, we can see these counter-rotating vortices. And he's saying you can see that in a bubble. All you do is blow a bubble in water and put an electrode near it. And you can see that same shimmer. Just look at an angle and you'll see the counter-rotation. So what that tells you is electricity is causing physical effects to happen. Pretty interesting.
Experiment number 3, twisted
wait, that wasn't even the third experiment?
pairs. Now, our final experiment is by far the easiest and can be done anywhere you find one of those novelty plasma globes. Most, but not all, of the novelty plasma globes have a pedestal or tower in the middle of a sphere from which tendrils of plasma, electric currents, form. And you can interact with these by touching the outside of the sphere. For a very simple experiment, do nothing but look closely in a darkened room to observe the tendrils.
They all have pairs.
See how they're always divided into twisted pairs? As stated previously, when left to its own devices, electricity will follow multiple paths of lower resistance. But, unlike the two previous dimensional flat Lichtenberg experiment on the wood, these tendrils of electricity, which is plasma in glow mode by the way, can move in 3 dimensions, and as we've all been taught by Wall Thornhill and others, electricity, or to be even more precise, an electrical discharge in space tends to flow in twisted pairs.
Twisted pairs, guys. Does that remind you of anything? Who's going to get it first in the chat? What does twisted pairs remind you of? First thing, guys. What am I thinking of right now? Twisted pairs. There it is. Boom. We have a winner. DNA. Double helix. Yoshi, you got beat by about 1 second. Wow. Plasma flows in twisted pairs in light mode. That reminds you of a double helix. DNA. That's pretty damn weird, guys. You're starting to get it now? Are you starting to understand that our universe is electric and that plasma is the secret to basically everything?
These are perfectly visible when you observe the very end of each tendril.
Look at that. Look at that end of that tendril. Look at that. You can see the twisted pair right built into it. This is a crazy thing because you don't need to do anything other than look at one of those plasma globes. You just look at one of those plasma globes and you can see this happening. Does this remind you of anything else? Let me go back to one of the other videos that we did. What's it called? I think this is called Plasma in Space. I might dance. I'm going to skip ahead. My favorite part. There's galaxies right there. You're staring at galaxies. Plasma, guys. Plasma is the answer. Plasma is the answer. Get ready for it. What does that look like, chat? Plasma and 0G. Look at that. Double helix. Booyah. Guys, I'm so hyped because we fucking figured it out, man. We have figured it out. 100% no doubt. We have figured it out. There it is. DNA. Plasma. It's always been about plasma, everybody. It's always been about plasma. God damn. Electric universe, chat. How did we not know that it was always electric universe? Okay, next video. 5 misconceptions about the electric universe based on what is gravity. Whoa! Yo gotta chill, bro. Chill, Eric Spencer. Wow. Plasma will be our liberation. $100 donation. Wow. Thank you, Eric. My God, you guys are going crazy. Praise our grandfather. Merry Christmas, Forbexmas. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody in MH370X. You guys are the real heroes here. I am just your voice getting it done. Thank you so much for that donation. You know what? Let me pull it up one more time. Wow, what a donation. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Humbly appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, hype for Eric on that one. Guys, so next Thunderbolts thing here. Let's skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so they get mad. So honestly, guys, this is one thing I want to bring up as well, is that they They were upset because the Y-Files did something on Electric Universe and they butchered it. I actually don't want the Y-Files to do anything on MH370, I've decided. I mean, I don't care if they do, but I'm not as excited about it. I was actually, I offered to give the Y-Files all of my research to make a video about MH370 videos or whatever. And I kind of felt awkward about it. Like, I didn't feel like I like AJ, but there's something wrong. I get a weird vibe. I get a weird vibe from him. And I don't know if it's just because he's not doing an in-depth amount of research and he's just providing stuff for entertainment value, or if he's trying to be neutral, you know, I'm not sure. But end of the day, we don't need the Y-Files. We don't need that. And if they're not going to do the story justice and they're just going to leave out a bunch of evidence, then I don't really want them to do anything on it anyway. Okay, let's go back to this now.
Electric universe model recognizes that plasmas and electromagnetism play more important, if not dominant, roles on the cosmic
Before you guys complain about the sound, I can't do anything about it. It's at the maximum
scale. Hence the filamentary structure of the universe, now observed via radio astronomy and, more recently and more clearly than ever, by the James Webb Space Telescope. Structure in an electric universe. As a general rule, celestial objects do not form the way gravitational theory proposes. The hypothesized collisions, explosions, and slow accretion processes do not match observation, nor do they work experimentally. Decades of planetary simulations show that gravitational accretion can only achieve an object the size of a pebble.
Okay, so right away, this video is basically saying that our concept of gravity can't explain what we observationally are seeing. And what they're saying is gravity cannot explain how galaxies are forming. Guys, like, you guys are going to get, if you're in this chat, you're going to get red pilled so hard right now. Because do you want to know the big secret, the secret that the academia doesn't want you to know? Is that basically our understanding of general relativity of gravity has already been falsified, meaning that it's been proven that it's not correct. It's been proven that general relativity is not correct, experimentally and observationally. And instead of us acknowledging that, we've just made up stuff to try to rationalize it, like dark energy and dark matter. Crazy, true story. And we're going to talk about some of these things, including the three-body problem, including how galaxies are spinning at the wrong rate. It's actually insane that mainstream academia is just so tied to a theory that is observationally proven wrong that they won't think that maybe we've got to advance this theory to explain these things. Instead of just admitting that there's no dark matter and dark energy and they just made it up, they're still trying to look for it. We're never going to fucking find it. It doesn't exist. There is no dark matter. There is no dark energy. General relativity is wrong. It doesn't mean that it's completely wrong, the same way where the Thunderbolts project in the electric universe is not completely right. But it's better. The idea of 0-point energy is better than general relativity because it closes the gaps in general relativity that we can't explain right now.
Star formation is equally problematic for orthodox astronomy. In a plasma universe, stars and planets are born in an electromagnetic Z-pinch or Bennett pinch, as originally proposed by the Nobel Prize-winning father of plasma physics and plasma cosmology.
That pinch thing that he just said there is very important. Why? Well, Salvatore Paisi's fusion patent literally says that pinching is one of the ways to do it. In fact, if you have counter-rotating vortices, what are you doing? You're producing a pinch effect. You're producing a pinch effect with magnetism. The same way we're seeing when we look out there at the sky.
Cosmology, Hannes Alfvén. He said, quote, important fields of research, i.e. the treatment of the state in interstellar regions, including the formation of stars, are still based on a neglect of Bennett's discovery more than half a century ago. Present-day students...
Guys, I just remembered, this video has some great quotes in it. Get ready. So this Alfvén guy it seems like he was a genius.
In astrophysics, hear nothing about it, close quotes. Anthony Parrott, a leading contemporary plasma physicist and former student of Alfvén, has been known to say that, quote, stars form like beads on a necklace, close quote. Furthermore, this has been observed, as discussed in these previous Thunderbolts programs and articles. The predictive successes of the electric universe and plasma cosmology model stand out. Quote, the only relevant test of the validity of a hypothesis is comparison of prediction with experience, close quote, Milton Friedman. As plasma physicists also emphasize, electromagnetic forces are exponentially stronger than gravity and scale to cosmic dimensions. While standard cosmology struggles to explain filamentary and spiral structures, invoking dark matter, angular momentum, and extended timelines, the electric universe model finds no mystery here. Such structures are expected in a universe dominated by plasmas and electromagnetic interactions. Alfvén put it like this, quote, I've never thought that you could obtain the extremely clumpy, heterogeneous universe we have today, strongly affected by plasma processes, from the smooth, homogeneous one of the Big Bang, dominated by gravitation.
Wow. Basically, he's saying that the Big Bang can't explain the distribution of energy that we see when we look in the sky. I mean, that's a pretty important quote. We're looking around and we're seeing this distribution. We're going, wait, gravity can't explain that. There has to be something else there. And what do physicists say? No. We're just going to add dark matter. We're just going to add dark energy. How about it's just 0 point energy? 0 point energy is what's causing everything to have form on these massive scales that we're seeing, where gravity is too weak of a force. It's too weak. This video is crazy, chat. Let me hit this shout out to this donation. Charles L. Media. I'm starting to believe that quantum computers utilizing 0 point energy are becoming implemented in aircraft. This technology could have existed for some time. Yeah, well, there's people probably cheating on Bitcoin as well. Free energy devices are probably being used to mine Bitcoin for basically zero cost. Wouldn't surprise me at all. The secret you guys need to know is if it's possible to cheat, people are cheating. That's how the human race works. Yeah, people are using this technology, and like 99.99% of people have no idea that it even exists. And the people that know about it, why would they tell everybody else? They're gonna use it, advance it, profit off of it, of course.
Close quotes. Alfvén also described, quote, gravitational systems as the ashes of prior electrical systems, close quotes. Reflecting his view that electromagnetism plays a dominant role on the cosmic scale, as early as 1937, he proposed that our galaxy contained a large-scale magnetic field, and that charged particles moved in spiral orbits within it, owing to forces exerted by the field. Plasma carries the electrical currents that create the magnetic field. While some magnetism is stirred into standard models, little importance is assigned. It is regarded more as a curiosity, and one that is very difficult to model mathematically, much to the chagrin of the theoretical physicists, mathematicians. They conjured up dark matter and dark energy to make gravitational equations work. Yeah.
Let me repeat that. So first of all, magnetism can actually explain why we see galaxies the way that they are. This was something that I first learned on an episode of Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman like 15 years ago. And the moment I heard it, where they said, well, what if it's just magnetism that can account for the missing dark energy and dark matter? I went, wow, doesn't that just make more sense? And now today, I've learned that that is exactly it. They literally had to invent dark matter and dark energy because the gravitational equations and theories didn't work. This is true, 100% true. They did the equations, they did the math, and this is why it's so insane that people are going to try to say, oh, well, we looked at supernovas and the supernovas match what we would expect to see in the cosmic microwave background. Well, your theory is incomplete. So if you're saying that, hey, I tested this thing based on this false theory that's incomplete, and it came out to the thing that I expected from this other false theory, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. You've taken two false theories and combined them together, and then you decided that your false theory is real because of your two false theories mixed together and add up. How about there is no dark energy, there is no dark matter, and we need a different explanation to explain gravity? Guess what? Spoiler alert, it's 0-point energy.
Yet, after more than 4 decades, these exotic entities remain elusive.
Look at this. 2016, no trace of dark matter in the gamma ray background. The craziest part is that we've known for over 10 years, or let's assume 8 years, that there is no dark matter. There's no trace of it anywhere. We can't find it anywhere. And we're just still sticking with our dead theory, still adamant it must be right. Do you guys want to know why the physicists? I'm going to tell you guys why the physicists won't admit they're wrong. Because people have won Nobel Prizes that will become fraudulent. Think about that. People have literally won Nobel Prizes that are still alive today that will be fraudulent, as in completely fake, as in they came up with data that will be considered fraudulent in the future. Like their academic careers are over. Do you get what I'm saying? Not, and like, we're talking Nobel Prize winners. And I don't have the names of them right now, and I'm not sure I would even want to, because this is not about a witch hunt. It's not about witch hunting people, because science is about realizing that you're wrong and growing. So I don't want to, I would not put people down and say, hey, you're a fraud because you had this theory that was wrong. But if you were to look at that data, once you realize that it's really about 0-point energy, you would realize that they fudged the numbers. They were fudging the numbers with mythical stuff like dark energy and dark matter to try to make it work. And that's fraud. That's what fraud is. Fudging the numbers is fraud, but we accept that fraud because we accept that dark energy and dark matter are real when they're not. So technically, the person's not fraudulent. The theory were fraudulent. So we're not going to witch hunt people, but that's the reason why they can't go back. They can't go back because they've already given Nobel Prizes to people who are wrong. Crazy, right? How insane is that? Now do you guys understand how messed up academia is? This is why academia is so messed up. Because they can't advance because they've given awards away to people that are wrong. And then if they were to admit they're wrong, they'd have to, it's like being a Redditor. Do you think a Redditor will ever admit they're wrong? No, they're never going to admit they're wrong. Same with academia. Academia is basically like Redditors. It doesn't matter how much experimental evidence, observational evidence you show them. They're never going to admit they're wrong. You have to wait for them to die. Like Max Planck said, science advances one funeral at a time. That's a literal quote from Max Planck, the guy that found out and discovered quantum mechanics.
It has been argued that traditional empiricism based on observation, hypothesis, testing, and theory has been replaced by mathematics. Adding weight to this suspicion, Stephen Hawking appeared to admit to as much. Quote, "You really can't beat a good mathematical theorem," close quote, he said. The nature of gravity. While gravitational equations predict celestial motions with remarkable accuracy, gravity's fundamental nature remains mysterious. Quote, "There is no model of the theory of gravitation today other than the mathematical form."
Read that again. There is no model for the theory of gravitation other than the math. What? We have no idea what gravity is coming from? That's what that says. That quote right there from Richard Feynman. Look at the name. That's Richard Feynman's name right there. They have no idea where gravity is coming from. Absolutely insane. Go ahead, ask any PhD physicist you want. They have no clue where gravity's coming from. If you press a PhD physicist at your university, they will say, well, we've got the LHC and the Large Hadron Collider, and we're going to figure it out someday. They have no idea where it's coming from. Absolute fucking clown show in academia going on in physics right now. All of academia and physics is just straight up garbage. Throw it in the trash. Throw it away. They have no idea what they're doing.
Close quote, Richard Feynman. To illustrate this point, a little history will help. Isaac Newton is credited with discovering the laws of motion and gravitation and reconciling the force that causes an apple to fall to the ground with those that steer the heavenly bodies. Newton, however, conceded he did not understand the mechanism. Quote,
What? Isaac Newton didn't even understand how gravity worked. Isaac Newton, apple falling on your head, he didn't even understand how gravity worked.
I frame no hypothesis, close quote, he wrote. He could only describe gravity mathematically, thus bequeathing
all they could do is describe how it worked. They couldn't describe what it is or where it was coming from.
Leaving further research to others. Later, Albert Einstein's general relativity redefined gravity as space-time curvature, introducing time as a literal fourth dimension. Gravity was no longer a force, but a property of space. Many question this abstract concept, though, with Nikola Tesla famously doubting that space could physically curve. Quote, curved spaces must react on the bodies, producing opposite effects, close quote, he concluded.
So this is where it's funny. Somebody just said something about Wizlet. There is something planned where I'm going to talk with him. This is the quote that he gets wrong all the time, where he says, Tesla said that curved space can't happen. Well, yes, it can. It's just a matter of perspective. You could argue that a refractive index is curved space. That's the whole point. You're curving, like, again, and you'll see here in an example. So Tesla can be right, but we can still have curvature. Again, a lot of physics ideas are concepts. They're us trying to explain what we see. So saying that because Tesla said there's no curved space, that the earth is flat is fucking stupid. That's just stupid. That's not what Tesla's saying here.
This view mirrors historical debates, such as Ptolemy's epicycles, which could also make accurate predictions while failing to reflect reality. The Ptolemaic model survived for centuries, from 160 AD until Copernicus and Kepler in the 16th century, in fact, largely because it didn't threaten geocentrism and, by extension, the authority of the Church. Quote, the fact that an opinion has been widely held is no evidence whatever that it is not utterly absurd.
Just write this quote down, chat. Bertrand Russell. The fact that an opinion is widely held is no evidence whatsoever that is utterly absurd. Do you know how many times I have people come to me in my replies, PhD physicists, and they say, find me one physicist that agrees with you. All the physicists disagree with you. That doesn't matter. That's not a logical argument. The fact that an opinion is widely held is no evidence whatsoever that it is not utterly absurd.
Close quote, Bertrand Russell. Although gravitational lensing is oft cited as proof of space-time curvature, simpler explanations like light refraction work perfectly well.
So there you go. It's light refraction. Light refraction. 0-point energy in outer space is causing light to be refracted through the medium of space-time. So when Ashton Forbes tells you that we are in a medium and space is not empty, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the pencil, chat. Look at the pencil right there. That is light being refracted. That is the exact same thing that's happening in space. Yes, mass is causing it because mass is energy. Mass is energy. But empty space also is not really empty. It also has energy in it. What we see with the pencil is exactly what's happening in outer space.
As discussed in Misconception Part 3, where is the math? The standard demonstration of space-time curvature, placing a large ball on a rubber sheet representing the Sun, with smaller balls, the planets, attracted to it, essentially uses gravity to explain gravity. This circular reasoning persists largely unchallenged. The free-body problem. Known as the n-body problem to astrophysicists, gravitational models may work fine for two bodies, but they break down or become chaotic when three or more bodies interact over time. This is a big problem, given that there are 9 significant bodies in our solar system, not to mention the many moons that, in turn, orbit some of these.
Okay, guys, this is the part where I have to say I watched the show Three Body Problem, and I never understood why it was so significant. Well, now we know. What did we just hear right there? There is no stable orbits over the long term for any three bodies in a solar system spinning around one another. There is no stable orientation that can be predicted. We're for three or more bodies. What does that mean? That means the planets should be flying out of the solar system. They shouldn't be in a stable orbit like we see in this video right here. The only stable orbits for three bodies, perpendicular or equilateral triangle. That's it. Maybe there's one other. It's not ours though. This is the craziest part. The three body problem proves that we don't understand gravity. Proves that we don't understand gravity because we cannot explain how the planets are able to not fall out of orientation. Otherwise, the gravitational force from Jupiter should be knocking these other planets off their orbit. But it's not. At some point, if you watch them spinning around, they get to a point where they're right next to each other. But it doesn't knock them out of their orbit at all. How is that possible? How crazy is that? It's just something so simple is overlooked. Just think about it. All the planets are exerting a gravitational force around one another. When the planets like Mars get next to Jupiter, so if let's say the sun's right here, I've got Mars over here, and I got Jupiter over here. Okay, fine. I don't expect Jupiter over here to interact with Mars. But when Mars spins back around and gets next to Jupiter, because they're orbiting or whatever at different speeds, then when they're close to one another, shouldn't there be some pulling happening that knocks it off its course? There should be, but there's not. This implies that there's some other stickiness happening in our solar system that we don't understand. There's a stickiness happening in our solar system, and we don't understand it. And the electric universe is saying that there is an electromagnetic stickiness, and that's the reason why the orbits are so stationary.
Doesn't work out for three or more bodies, the fact that our solar system hasn't already descended into chaos is nothing short of a miracle. As a general rule, of course, science shuns the miraculous, the Big Bang notwithstanding. Again, this reminds us that the door must be left open to other ideas concerning the apparent stability of our solar system and, therefore, the very nature of gravity. Quote, what causes gravity and mass? These questions still baffle all of us. Rather than the end of science being nigh, we are still near the beginning of the cosmic quest. Close quote. Martin Rees, former Royal Astronomer. There is an important lesson in all of this. While mathematical models may enable successful predictions within certain frames of reference, it does not necessarily follow that they describe reality with the same degree of accuracy. Ironically, Einstein himself probably put it best. Quote, as far as the laws of mathematics refer to reality, they are not certain. And as far as they are certain, they do not refer to reality.
As far as the laws of mathematics refer to reality, they are not certain. So math is not dictate reality. As far as they are certain, they do not reflect reality. That is an Albert Einstein quote saying that what you see and observe always trumps theory and math every single time.
Close quote. Gyroscopes and weight loss. Eric Laithwaite was a British electrical engineer and professor, best known as the father of maglev. He developed the linear induction motor and maglev rail system. In 1974, he gave a famous lecture at the Royal Institution where he demonstrated the apparent weight loss produced by gyroscopes. He further claimed that there is no simple connection between gravitational and inertial mass. Although Laithwaite never used the term himself, many contacted him about anti-gravity effects. He was always cautious in his responses, and yet critical of those who dismiss such anomalous effects out of hand. He referred to them as the abominable no-men. Electric gravity. Mainstream physics holds that electromagnetism and gravity are unrelated because electromagnetism can be shielded, while gravity cannot. However, this assumption oversimplifies the relationship. Both forces diminish with the square of the distance, are proportional to the product of interacting masses or charges, and act along the line between them. Historically, notable pioneers in physics sought to reconcile gravity and electromagnetism. Michael Faraday.
So what did he just say right there? He just pointed out that the equations for an electric force has the same exact form as the equation for gravity. So what we're saying is that essentially it's force equals a constant times charge 1 times charge 2, or mass 1 times mass 2 divided by distance squared. Both equations have the exact same form. Wow. That's incredible. Now, the only thing that's going to change the power of their force then is the constant. Otherwise, they're exactly the same. So to think that there's not a connection between electromagnetism, electric force, and gravity is kind of insane. Even Einstein believed there was a connection.
Suggested that all forces might stem from a common origin. Quote, "No terms could exaggerate the value of the relation they would establish," close quote, he summed up. Henry Poincaré echoed this sentiment, proposing that what we call mass might ultimately have an electromagnetic origin. The US Department of Navy Research even appears to support this idea. In 2006,
whose name do you see at the top of the screen, chat? Salvatore Caesar Pais. Craft using inertial mass reduction for a transmedium craft. Wow. They're quoting Salvatore Pais.
2016, the Navy filed a patent for a mass reduction device utilizing electromagnetic waves. This concept contradicts the standard notion that gravity cannot be modified by electromagnetic influence. Support for anti-gravity is considered taboo because it implicitly undermines Einstein's general relativity theory. The paper refers to quantum vacuum plasma, QVP, as the electric glue of our plasma universe. Tesla's dynamic theory of gravity. Nikola Tesla claimed to have a dynamic theory of gravity, unifying it with electromagnetism.
Okay, we're going to come back to this. I want to shout out Salvatore Pais. I know he's watched a lot of my streams. He might be watching right now. Guy's an absolute genius. Absolute genius. He's not a gatekeeper. I can tell that much. He probably works under some gatekeepers, but I know he's not a gatekeeper. I know he can't tell the full truth, probably because of his NDAs on what's going on, but he's been forthcoming. He's basically as close as you can get to a whistleblower these days without somebody going to prison. Shout out to him. Shout out to his patents. His patents are 100% real. No question, no doubt. Let me hit this last donation. I don't know how to say your name. I'm just going to call you Condulce. Thank you very much for the $5 donation. Heard the Ptero Dynamics XP4 drone? No, I've never heard of it. This might be what they are, either Navy, Air Force testing or exercise, or didn't give notice. That's kind of what I'm thinking on the drone situation. Could be. Absolutely. Thank you for that donation. Appreciate you, man. Okay, so Tesla trying to connect gravity and electromagnetism.
Although details are scant, Tesla saw gravity as a combination of EM waves, in contrast to general relativity. Aligning with the electric universe model, Tesla also insisted on the existence of an ether, which can be thought of as a fine elastic medium or plenum that permeates everything. Quote, Einstein, in his special theory of relativity, postulated there was no medium, called the ether, but Maxwell's theory of electromagnetism requires it, and Sir Oliver Lodge saw the ether as crucial to our understanding. So, Einstein, at a stroke, removed any possibility that he or his followers would find a link between electromagnetism and gravity. It served the egos of his followers to consecrate Einstein's ideas and treat dissent as blasphemy.
The crazy part is Maxwell's theory requires the ether. James Clerk Maxwell, the father of electrical engineering, believed in the ether. Why did we get rid of it? Because we moved towards general relativity and we just forgot about it. Now, we shouldn't just blame Einstein. Einstein's not necessarily a fraud. The problem is that Einstein's been turned into a mythological figure. The Einstein that we idolize is not the Einstein as the man he was. This is true of a lot of historical figures. And this is what's happened now where physics, people have been getting Nobel Prizes based on Einstein's work because they've been idolizing him while ignoring these huge gaps in the theories. And now they can't admit that they were wrong. They can't admit that Einstein maybe didn't have it all figured out, even though Einstein was a genius. No doubt, Einstein was a genius. Beyond any doubt, he was a genius. We wouldn't be where we're at today without Einstein. Tesla was a genius too, of course, but we needed Einstein to understand a lot of this stuff. Thank you very much. Great show, Mick Leonard. Thank you, Mick. Appreciate you, brother.
Close quote. Walt Thornhill. In previous episodes of this misconception series, we have discussed how the Michelson-Morley
I'm going to skip this
experiment
Michelson-Morley part because we're probably running short on time, and instead, I'm just going to show the video that I always show, which is the Martin Gruznik Michelson-Morley debunked. Wait, is this the right one? Yeah. So here's the Michelson-Morley. If you spin it horizontally, there's no interference pattern change. Just say, oh, there's no ether, guys. No ether. But if you redo the experiment and make it vertical, then what? Then what happens? Oh, look. The interference patterns are shifting now. Look at that. Make it vertical, and now the interference patterns are shifting. How can that be? How can that be? Oh, because gravity is causing it. And what causes gravity? 0-point energy. Just like what we just heard from Eric W. Davis. Gravity is what's causing the 0-point energy, or 0-point energy is what's causing gravity. Gravity is, and 0-point energy is the ether. All you have to do is look at the video. I love this video because of its simplicity. You just look at it and you can just see it. Simple as that. There it is. You can see the interference pattern shifting. And it's shifting perfectly consistent with a vertical ether. And this is what Tom Montauk was talking to me in Hard Truths podcast that we just did. He was saying that the ether is pushing down on us, just like gravity. Pretty wild, right? Pretty wild. Why did they not think to just turn it sideways? I don't know. Probably because it was an experiment done in 1885, which was over almost 150 years ago. Okay.
cited as conclusive evidence. These announcements were coordinated.
Okay, and then they go through black holes here. And the question of whether or not black holes exist, I think, is interesting. Okay, and then they falsify the Higgs boson here. Ready for this? Guys, it might turn out that CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, is completely fraudulent. Completely fraudulent. It's possible that the whole Higgs boson thing was made up. Are you ready for this? Like, this is probably the most controversial thing in this whole video. They present a pretty strong argument right here for the next 5 minutes that the entire LHC was basically falsified science, fake science. Ready?
Hadron Collider, LHC, at CERN in Switzerland in the hope of finding the Higgs boson, God particle, on which the Standard Model rests. In the Standard Model, gravity is regarded as a property of mass, of course, and the Higgs boson is responsible for this mass. It should be noted that the term God particle has no intended theological implications other than to hint at its importance. The entity was originally conjured by Peter Higgs, who started out by assuming the existence of a particle that exhibits only mass and no other characteristics. In other words, the Higgs is like no other piece in the puzzle, since all normal matter is composed of electric charges. Interestingly, whimsical dark matter also falls into the same mass-only, non-baryonic category. But how can a massive particle...
So interesting, what he said there was that they were looking for a Higgs particle that has mass, but no other properties. They're looking for this God particle, and they never found it, and they still haven't found it. And they're saying that this God particle would be very similar to dark matter, which we've also never found. Oops. Oh, shit. Oh, here we go.
But how can a massive particle exist without charge? What is its structure? Does this underline the problem inherent in leaving physics to mathematicians and the burgeoning disconnect between mathematical concepts and reality? More than 2,100 users from various US institutes are registered at CERN, making the United States the lab's largest user community. As if in tribute to this actual fact, it was on American Independence Day, the 4th of July 2012, and with much fanfare, that the discovery of the Higgs was announced. Given the massive investment in the LHC, I'm guessing they were under pressure to come up with something. After the discovery, the LHC was taken apart and rebuilt with enhancements. More recently, and with much less fanfare.
So basically, in 2012, they announced that they have figured out this Higgs field. They say, we figured out the Higgs field. And guess what they got after that, guys? A whole bunch of fucking money to rebuild, to upgrade it. Oh, shit, it's a major success. All this fanfare, all the news are talking about it. We're going to figure physics out, guys. We're going to figure it all out. We got a huge amount of money. We're going to go upgrade our collider. Do you know what they've discovered since then, since 2012, which was 12 years ago? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's been zero breakthroughs from CERN and Large Hadron Collider in the last 12 years. It actually makes you wonder if they falsified the results for the Higgs boson. Because why? Otherwise, the whole thing would have been a fraudulent project that they wasted billions of dollars on. They needed a win. They had no wins. And what did they get? They got billions more dollars to upgrade it right after they made that huge announcement. And what have they discovered since they upgraded it? Nothing. It's basically a money printing machine. That's what it is, a money printing machine. How insane is this? Like, this is... I don't think this is going to get me canceled, but wow. There is some major fraud going on in the physics community right now.
Physicists announced that although the LHC had shown hints the Higgs boson was real, experiments in the 145 to 466 billion electron volt range have excluded its existence. Dmitry Denisov of...
So what we just heard is within a certain voltage range, it excluded the existence of the Higgs boson. Did you just hear what he just said right there? Within a certain electron voltage range, they've excluded it. They basically said it's not really there.
Fermilab said, quote, "We do not see the signal. If it existed, we would see it. But when we look at our data, we basically see nothing."
We do not see, direct quote, we do not see the signal. If it existed, we would see it. But when we look at our data, we basically see nothing. Wow. Wow. Holy shit, chat. We might be able to just bring down all of CERN. It's basically just a big fraudulent organization that is just getting billions of dollars to do absolutely nothing. We just made it up. We just made it up just like we did with dark matter and dark energy. We made up the Higgs boson. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
Close quote.
Holy shit.
In another Higgs hiccup, New Scientist reports that the bad boy is, quote, refusing to misbehave, close quote.
And you can even see it, even in the media-controlled papers like this one from 2020, people are wondering, like, why are we not finding anything? Why are we not getting confirmation from 12 years ago? You said you figured out the Higgs boson in 2012. It's 2024. Where's the confirmation? Where's the corroborating evidence? There isn't any. There is none. Realize that 8 years after they claim to have found it, New Scientist is writing papers like this going, where is it? You upgraded this thing and there's nothing. Doesn't exist. Complete fraud. It's just fraud. That's the only word for it.
In another Higgs hiccup, New Scientist reports that the bad boy is, quote, refusing to misbehave, close quote. Quote, physicists have spotted the Higgs boson performing a new trick, but one that brings us no closer to understanding the workings of the fundamental particle, close quote. It seems there may be good reason to be skeptical about the discovery of the Higgs and, by extension, the validity of the Standard Model. All this is not to suggest that the CERN crew are deluded or less than intelligent. Far from it. After all, they've effectively invented a perpetual funding machine.
This isn't to say that they're not useful. They've invented something. They invented a perpetual funding machine. I love this narrator. They've invented a perpetual funding machine. That's what they invented. They've found zero physics. I don't know how much money we've wasted on this thing, probably $25 billion or more, and we've discovered nothing. We're no closer to understanding physics than we were 20 years ago.
A new, bigger and better version of CERN is planned. From the phys.org article, quote, Europe's CERN laboratory revealed more details Monday about its plans for a huge new particle accelerator that will dwarf the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, ramping up efforts to uncover the underlying secrets of the universe.
Guys, I'm going to tell you guys right now, we are never making another fucking collider ever again on this face of this planet. I am going to rail against anybody that tries to make another one of these stupid fucking colliders so hard that anybody who even tries will be embarrassed. I'm going to point out that it's fraudulent and these people are just stealing money to do absolutely nothing. They produce zero results, and we've been paying them billions of dollars. Do you think we're going to build a bigger collider? Fuck that. We are never building another collider. Never, ever, ever is it going to happen. We don't need any more bigger colliders to understand physics. What we need to do is we need to stop being stuck to the idea that general relativity is the be-all, end-all. It's not. We need to understand dark energy, dark matter, and quantum mechanics. That needs to be the next thing. Anything that's not solving that, get the fuck out of here. We need to stop being retarded and primitive, and we need to start realizing that we messed up. Academia and physics messed up. They got it wrong. So instead of throwing billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars at useless fucking colliders that are gigantic and waste a ton of energy and throwing all this money at fusion reactors shaped like donuts, throw all that stuff out. We've been doing it wrong the whole time. The reason why these things are failures is not because we didn't build them correctly. It's because we don't understand the universe correctly. Let me say that again. It's not that we didn't build the tokamaks or we didn't build the LHC correctly. We built it correctly. We don't understand the universe correctly. That's the problem. We're the problem. Humanity is the problem.
If approved, the future Circular Collider, FCC, would start smashing its first particles together around the middle of this century and start its highest energy collisions around 2070.
2070? These people are fucking insane. Have you realized this is a scam yet, chat? Guys, it's 2024. They're talking about we might get some results in 45 years. 45 years? When I see shit like this makes me think there really is a breakaway civilization that's just holding back physics. Just holding back physics and science from us. 2070, we don't need to wait one more year. We've already got it figured out. 0-point energy. I don't need till 2070 to make another scam, fraudulent collider that's not going to figure anything out. All this shit is just money fraud. That's all that's happening here. They're just doing fake science, producing zero results, and all the truth is already available out there. All people have to do is read. All people have to do is read Hal Puthoff, 1989, Gravity is a 0-point fluctuation force, and we don't have to do any of this bullshit anymore.
Running under France and Switzerland, it would be more than triple the length of CERN's LHC, currently the largest and most powerful.
Guys, this is what primitives think. Primitives think, just make it bigger. Duh. It's not big enough. We need a bigger collider. That's the problem. The reason why we haven't solved anything is our collider's not big enough. Duh. And we just need a bigger rocket. Big boom. Boom, boom. Make big boom. Small boom, no. Big boom, boom. Big boom better than small boom. These people are so dumb. It's actually just mind-boggling.
Powerful particle accelerator, close quotes. It sure seems that colliders like black holes suck up a lot of tax dollars. Gravity in an electric universe. While Thornhill has proposed a groundbreaking electric dipole model for gravity, suggesting that gravity results from radially orientated electrostatic dipoles within protons, neutrons, and electrons. In this view, these particles align like tiny bar magnets in response to nearby matter, each forming a dipole due to slight distortions in their structure. Consequently, the dipole-dipole force, which declines with distance, translates to the familiar inverse square law for gravitational forces over larger distances. This framework also accounts for gravity's extreme weakness, which Thornhill interprets as a result of the minute distortion in subatomic particles within a gravitational field.
So what he just said right there, this is the part where I'm not sure I 100% agree. This feels like it's missing something here. Doesn't feel like it's quite enough. I prefer Hal Puthoff's 1989 gravity is a 0-point fluctuation force. But of course, at the smallest levels, it is all about spin. Electrons spinning, etc. That creates our fields. This is how magnets work, right? If you don't know how a bar magnet works, it's because all the electrons are lined up like soldiers, perfectly lined up. That's why you see the field, like the magnetic field. Because all the electrons in the material in the magnet are lined up. So that part's true. And that's what I think his basis of this concept is well, now you consider the universe and you go, okay, well, you've got all these electrons, you've got all these subatomic particles, they're creating these magnetic fields, which I think is true, but it's zero. Yeah, and that's coming from the 0-point energy field. But I'm not sure that he's got all the nuance right. But that's fine. You don't have to have everything right. Maybe he is right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But that doesn't mean that all the other stuff's wrong. And what happens is people who are debunkers will probably attack that approach and say, well, this can't explain gravity without addressing all the other stuff that we just looked at today in the stream.
For gravitational forces over larger distances. This framework also accounts for gravity's extreme weakness, which Thornhill interprets as a result of the minute distortion in subatomic particles within a gravitational field. Sir Oliver Lodge, a respected scientist, once mused, quote, if a special geometry has to be invented to account for a falling apple, even Newton might be appalled at the complications which would ensue, and really difficult problems are tackled, close quote. This sentiment captures the ongoing struggle to understand gravity's true nature without resorting to abstract geometries. In 2018, nuclear physicist Raymond Gallucci examined Thornhill's model in his article Electromagnetic Gravity. Gallucci explores the possibility of a unified theory that accommodates both the attractive and repulsive nature of electromagnetic forces and a mathematical framework, concluding that Thornhill's model is plausible. Critics might view the model as incomplete, but standard theories too rely on.
So basically, they're saying critics think that the model might be incomplete, but yeah, I mean, look at our current model. Our current model is really incomplete. And we had to make up fake stuff to try to explain our current model. So this is the part two where it's like Sabine Hassenfelder may say, oh, well, it's just easier to go with dark energy and dark matter. Maybe it is. It's always easier to go with a fraudulent explanation and made up imaginary variables. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's right. And if you're going to do that with one theory, why are you not going to do it with the other theory? Why? Just bias? Bias? Because we're going to be biased towards general relativity? We know general relativity is wrong. We know it's wrong. It's just a matter of how do we reconcile it with the observational results that we see, specifically from quantum mechanics. I like this comment here. Gravity is viewed as a fluctuation synchronization interaction between coupled mass oscillators. Is it your Gong? The acceleration of gravity is described by the spectral energy density gradient. And what he's saying there is that it's a pressure. Gravitons are shown to be phase conjugate photons. The metric of curved spacetime corresponds to the electromagnetic wavefront interference node metric. Hence, the gravitational field becomes quantized. So if you don't know what this means, this is from Larry Reed. The part that I like the best is gravitons are shown to be phase conjugate photons. Gravitons are shown to be phase conjugation, guys, photons. What he's saying is you take two waves, 180 degrees out of phase, overlap them, zero them out, then what do you get? Gravity. Graviton. That's Tom Bearden. That's scalar physics right there. That's what he's describing. So scalar physics directly connects to manipulation of gravity and the 0-point fluctuations. 100%. Okay, I think that's the end of that video. I was going to do one more, but I think we're running out of time for tonight, so we'll probably stop there. Let me see how long this one is. Kind of long. This one's pretty cool, though. It's all about Tesla, basically. And it does a bunch of quotes about Tesla. Maybe we'll look at this on the next live stream. Maybe we'll look at this on the next
involving alternate.
So this is my favorite right here. Let's just listen to this this quote.
Of ether, which might also be described as a fine plenum or elastic medium, probably begins to explain this apparent paradox. Quote, I consider this extremely important. Light cannot be anything else but a longitudinal disturbance in the ether, involving alternate compressions and refractions. In other words, light can be nothing else than a sound wave in the ether.
Boom. This is probably one of the most important Tesla quotes there is. Light cannot be anything other than a longitudinal disturbance through the ether. If you don't know what longitudinal disturbance is, that's why he says it's a sound wave. It's basically a sound wave perturbating through the ether. Tesla had it all figured out. Well, not all of it, but he was way ahead of his time. I mean, look at the time of this quote, 1934. 1934. This was 8 years after Kaluza-Klein unified electromagnetism and gravity using an extra dimension. Everybody figured out, well, not everybody, but a lot of people figured out that there was an ether. They figured it out. We just threw it out. We threw it out. So I don't think we're going to watch this. I think that's enough of an electric universe theory. We've done a lot of Tesla stuff. So I want to thank everybody tonight for watching. I know a lot of you were tired of the drone stuff and all that, blah, blah, blah. You wanted to go back to the science. I hope you appreciated the stream tonight, digging through the science, falsifying general relativity, Large Hadron Collider, all these other concepts. Happy Friday the 13th to everybody. I hope you guys have a great night. Let me do a couple of shout outs to some of this, to the super chats. Molly Mall, thank you very much for that $20 donation. That's a very generous donation. Thank you. And then I want to shout out to Eric Spencer one more time, because this donation is huge, obviously extremely generous. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I hope everybody has a great weekend, guys. And we will be back on Monday. Guys, Sunday, probably at noon, maybe at 1 o'clock Central Time. Hard Truths podcast with Professor Simon Holland. Going to talk about faster than light communication. Going to talk about SETI. Going to talk about plasma orbs. Going to talk about aliens. Going to talk about aliens. So if you're one of those people that likes talking about aliens, talking about interstellar species that might be communicating with us, come check out the conversation on Sunday. It's going to be pre-recorded. It's not going to be live, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Okay, guys, have a great night. Love you, MH370X. Peace out. I've got a new song I want to play for you guys. I actually forgot who gave this to me. So if you're out there and you made this, let me know and I'll give you credit. We'll probably play it again. I've got a Christmas song for us. Here we go. Let me see. Oh, wait. Oh, it's processing. Hold on. Wait for it, chat. Give it a second. Give it a second. We've got a Christmas song. I'm just going to let it process here. So I'm going to Also just I'll shout out MH370X, shout out JK Philly fan, the rest of my admins who have been doing a great job. Thank you guys. Amanda, I saw you in the chat here as well. Okay, here we go. We got the song. It's ready to go.
I don't want much from physics, there's just one thing I need. Not a paper full of theory or more math that makes me plead. I just want a quantum gift, vacuum energy, want to lift, make my dream come true. All I want for Christmas is 0 point energy. I don't need a particle zoo or string dimensions 10 or 2. Just give me quantum fluctuations and the Casimir force will do. I'll take Heisenberg's uncertainty, harnessing that synergy. It's a dream for me. All I want for Christmas is 0 point energy. Oh, the vacuum's gently buzzing, quantum fields, they're so entrancing. Virtual particles appear in and out without a care. Oh, physics fans are cheering, a future so endearing. If we unlock this power surge, a new age will emerge. I won't ask for simple gadgets, not perpetual motion schemes. Just a field so rich with promise, bringing life to physicists' dreams. If we could tap that energy, physics would rewrite history. No limits, set us free. All I want for Christmas is 0 point energy. Oh, 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 oh. I want for Christmas is 0 point energy. 0 point energy, oh baby. 0 point energy, it's crazy. Let's make it come true. All I want for Christmas is 0 point energy.